Alright, so I wanted to remake this and actually do it properly. You see, back then I actually remade or did make a What If Jazz Survive video where I said, well, he just simply swaps fight with Optimus. He can easily handle Bone Crusher far quicker and a far deadlier way than Optimus would have, right? And probably be far more strategical because, again, he is second in command for a reason here. However, going over that here, I realized there are so many ways Jazz could have survived here and just using his own creativity to get himself out of the situation. And so here it is. This is going to be a one season thing covering all the movies and all the canonical games in order here. I'm not sure how many parts this is going to take, but I'm going to do it until, I'm done with it here. And yes, I will be making some slight changes and some slight, alterations to the story here, like adding Autobots who should have been in there, and again, removing those who just really shouldn't have been. Let's be real, Skids and Mudflap had no real reason to be in Revenge of the Fallen, and honestly, I feel bad for them, but it kind of is what it is here. So without further ado, let us begin. Our story takes an alternate turn when Jazz pretty much confronts Megatron. It goes the same initially. Jazz, realizing that he's the only thing standing between Megatron and all these humans, decides to take a shot at him, obviously not using his full power as to not risk any human casualties here. So Jazz shoots him in the shoulder. Megatron shoots him, and obviously he gets damaged and twirls in the air. However, this is where our timeline changes. When Megatron takes up Jazz to the building, Jazz doesn't shoot him in the leg this time. No. He waits till Megatron brings him up a little further and shoots Megatron with a full power shot in the face, right between the eyes here. This causes Megatron to let Jazz go and cover his face in pain. Jazz, utilizing the opportunity, grabs the side of the building that they're on and then just leaps down, transforms, and gets out of there though. Megatron is furious and looks around for Jazz. However, Optimus arrives just like he did in the original here. However, Megatron doesn't have, Jazz's body to throw around here. And so, Megatron versus Optimus begins as he transforms to a Cybertronian jet form and basically just blitzes Optimus, who, well, catches it here. Now, what about Jazz? What happens to him in this timeline here? Well, I do believe he would have found Ironhide and Ratchet here. And he would have actually gotten repairs from Ratchet here, as Ironhide's tough enough to where, he'll be back in fighting shape, but he probably would have taken a little bit longer to repair here. So with that being said here, Jazz actually gets prepared, repairs and stuff from Ratchet here, while Bumblebee does manage to finally put down Brawl with the help of Michaela. And so what else happens here? Well, Blackout arrives, and we're just gonna have that go, honestly, the same way. Because again, it is a nice moment for Lennox to actually get the kill shot on Blackout here, excuse me. However, this is where I take something different in mind here. When Megatron actually goes for Sam after he, blasts Optimus through a building and stuff like that there, and he's chasing Sam, throwing cars around, I would actually have a moment where he almost reaches Sam. However, Jazz swoops in just in the nick of time, grabs Sam, transforms, and drives with him here. So Sam does get that panicking moment where Bumblebee transforms mid-air, except it's Jazz using a smooth maneuver to grab him, transform, and then beelining away from Megatron. Megatron, furious about this here, transforms into a Cybertronian jet form and chases Jazz, who was going full speed with Sam in him here. Obviously, Sam strapped in and everything here, holding the Allspark. But again, this will actually be interesting, as I would have it be a chase sequence here throughout Mission City, where Jazz is able to just, barely keep ahead of Megatron and actually takes different ways, takes different alleyways and stuff like that there. Megatron tries to bombard him, but again, Jazz is able to stay ahead because not only of his quick thinking, but his maneuverability as well here. I would even have a moment where Jazz jukes the living crap out of Megatron here. Basically, right, what he would do is transform, wait for Megatron to come down at him here, and then just juke him, have him smash right into the ground and stuff, before transforming and driving off again here. This would piss Megatron off here. However, by this time, Optimus has pretty much made his way back here, and we would see Optimus engage Megatron again, telling Jazz to get Sam out of the city. To which, unlike in the original timeline, Jazz would actually be able to do this here. And this is because, again, he is incredibly fast. Number two, there aren't really any other Decepticons around at the moment. Oh, wait! Yeah, I forgot about good old Starscream here, with Megatron likely giving the order to go ahead and confront Jazz here. And so I would actually have Jazz and Starscream fight at the border of Mission City here, where, you know, Jazz is like on a freeway, he's almost out the city, and then bam, Starscream transforms, landing in front of him here, almost getting him here, realizing he doesn't have any other choice, in that Ironhide and Ratchet, while they are on their way, it's going to take them a minute to get there. Jazz transforms, still slightly battle damaged, to engage Starscream. Now, how would Jazz versus Starscream go? Let's actually talk about it here. Considering an injured Jazz was still able to hold off Blackout and Bone Crusher together here, and yes, I do consider Bone Crusher stronger than Starscream in the physical department here, and Jazz was actually able to toy with him and didn't take him seriously here. And keep in mind, every interaction that Jazz and Starscream do have, Starscream always tries to blindside him or has to blindside him continuously here. And considering if you guys have watched my, my Jazz versus RC, Bayverse versus Transformers Prime video, yeah, Jazz has a lot more evidence for him being closer to the levels of Optimus and Megatron than any other Autobot and Decepticon. Keep in mind, this is still, you know, first movie and stuff like that, but still, point remains the same. Jazz should be way above the likes of Starscream. And so, with that being said here, Jazz is actually able to deal quite a large amount of damage here. However, he is still injured, meaning he can't do too much against Starscream, who does take advantage of it here. However, thanks to Jazz's quick wit and his superior speed in robot form here, he's actually able to utilize Starscream's own weaponry against him here, such as grabbing a missile and hurling it right back into the rocket launcher in Starscream's hand, blowing it up and damaging him here. And this is actually where Ironhide and Ratchet managed to arrive in time, and well, yeah, they managed to get him. They pretty much just jumped Starscream, all three of them here. And so this is the reason why Starscream has no choice but to retreat and leave Earth, otherwise he'll die. However, unfortunately for them here, they have another problem, that being Megatron, doing the same thing he did to Optimus again. When he has the upper hand, he's able to get Optimus off of him, and well, now the Autobots have to deal with them, while Optimus is making his way towards them and rushing as fast as he can here. The Autobots put up a valiant fight, with Ironhide going down first, Ratchet going down second, and Jazz, now that he has a lot more free room here and there's not many humans around, Jazz puts up a hell of a good fight against Transformers 1 or TF1 version of Megatron here. However, again, due to the injuries he still has here, Megatron ragdolls him, and he's about to rip him in half, saying that this is exactly what he was going to do to him. And so, before that can happen, he gets shot in the back, causing him to drop Jazz again. And well, this time we have Optimus coming to save the day here. And so, unfortunately, Sam is still around, and this means that the airstrike can't really hit here because of, well, the human populace around here and the sheer fact that the amount of missiles would destroy the bridge that they're on here more than the Autobots' own weight. And so Sam has no choice but to actually rush towards Megatron and puts the cube in his chest, thus killing Megatron. Boom. So what happens then? Well, Michaela is actually able to drive Bumblebee all the way to the bridge, and the Autobots pretty much meet. And well, with Jazz alive in this timeline, there is no sorrow, farewell. There is no funeral here. So now this actually takes place very differently here, with Jazz being alive and well, Sam getting Michaela, the Allspark shard still goes to the government, and Optimus actually has one of his closest allies still with him. He has his whole team still. Now again, Bumblebee's legs do get repaired. Every other Autobot gets repaired as well, and Optimus Prime puts out a welcoming call for Autobots to come to Earth. However, Jazz also joins him on this one here, telling any Autobot throughout the galaxy to come to Earth here. And so, this is where I actually changed the story a bit. Sideswipe does show up. The RC triplets also show up. However, instead of Skids and Mudflap, I would have Cliffjumper and Smokescreen actually show up here. Now you might say, why would I add Cliffjumper and Smokescreen? And this is because they both have a close relationship with Jazz. You see, Smokescreen, I would definitely say, is Jazz's protoform brother, as again, they do look the same. Except, key differences, Jazz is physically superior, while Smokescreen has his hacks and abilities, like his static Smokescreen, which is able to basically not only blind, but paralyze his opponents here. And then there's Cliffjumper. It kind of just says it for itself right there. It's Jazz and Cliffjumper. And then you have RC and the rest of the triplets here. And so we have Sideswipe as well along with this group here. So a whole group of badasses. Excuse my language. But again, still, the fact remains the same. This is a pretty cool team, am I right? And so, with that being said here, how does the rest of the story go? Well, Sideswipe still has to go through his character arc here, where he has to realize he has to be a part of the team here. Meanwhile, Jazz, Smokescreen, and Cliffjumper and RC all catch up, with Jazz finding out what happens to RC, Alita 1, and Chromia. And honestly, he does apologize for what happened to them here. Says that if he ever gets a hold of Thundercracker, he'll be sure to tear his spark out just for them. And so this is where they actually do address something as well here. The other Autobots coming to Earth here. And so Theodore Galloway, the one that nobody likes. I don't think anyone likes the government nowadays anyway. But this is where we actually see something different for the events of Revenge of the Fallen. The beginning of Shanghai, is a bit different than the original here. You see, with Smokescreen and Cliffjumper there along with Sideswipe, this means that everything can actually go smoothly. But what makes it more impressive here, or makes it a more alternate in this timeline here, is that Jazz is leading the mission instead of Ironhide. Jazz is a better tactician. He's a much more methodical fighter here. And so, this is where I can actually see, when he finds out that Decepticon is Demolisher here, he actually sets up with everyone is actually capable of holding their own here, considering how destructive Demolisher is. And I do think he would have received information from Ironhide and Sideswipe about how Demolisher works here. This is where everything would have changed for the better here. So Jazz, along with Sideswipe and Smokescreen, get ready. And so this is where they should pretty much, they advance on Demolisher just like in the original. He transforms, smashing the ground here. However, Jazz tells the Autobots to attack right then and there. And so what happens here is that Jazz provides the first distraction shot, allowing Cliffjumper to get his. However, Cliffjumper's firepower, being more powerful here, is actually able to harm Demolisher's tires here, thus blowing out the bottom one just like in the original. However, Demolisher's now on the freeway and it isn't able to cause destruction as his tire is blown out right then and there in the scrapyard here. However, Sideways is still spotted like in the original. And so we have the RC triplets chasing him here. And so without Skids and Mudflap here, considering the RC triplets are chasing him far longer than the original, Sideways actually takes a lot more damage because, again, they are more professional and they are still capable of, harming him. And so when Sideways jumps through the window and actually begins to pull away, here comes our glorious goated king, Sideswipe, saying, "Clear a path." And so with that being said here, rest in peace, Sideways. You died very quickly just to Promote your vehicle. Dear Lord, they did him so dirty. And then we have the fight with Demolisher. Demolisher tries to use his other wheel now to stabilize himself here. However, when Cliff Jumper goes to blow out that one, Demolisher gets ready to grab him and demolish, well, no pun intended here, grab and, well, demolish him, if you will, here. However, this is where Jazz tells Smokescreen now, where Smokescreen jumps on the back of Demolisher's head and actually deploys his Smokescreen ability. And this is where not only does this blind Demolisher, but it begins to paralyze him here, allowing the rest of the Autobots to just lay into him here. The RC triplets arrive, Sideswipe arrives, and well, this does take down Demolisher here, and actually does it in such a way that not only is it controlled, but it is contained. However, unfortunately, some human soldiers still do die in the line of duty here. So how does that pretty much go from here on? Well, Optimus and Jazz are the ones to pretty much address Theodore Galloway, or Galloway in general here. And this is where, I guess you could say, some of the conversation does change here. Because again, they didn't make a mess of Shanghai. So they can't really use that against the Autobots in order to leave for Earth here. What I do think is still going to be used here is the sheer fact that, well, Demolisher still says the fallen shall rise again. Despite the more, controlled and more calculated methods of the Autobots here, they still are able to get everything done here. And this is where I would also have another scene, that being Barricade. Considering the sheer fact that Barricade was killed in the original comic adaptation for the movie, and then later revived by Starscream here, yeah, I definitely think Barricade would definitely be handling operations on Earth with the Decepticons here. So Barricade is kind of on his own in a way here, but again, he does meet up with some of the fellow Constructicons, like Mixmaster, and Rampage. Or as a matter of fact, we could say it's just the Constructicons in general here. And so, a lot of the things in the story goes the same. Sam goes to college. Sam, just has a rough time because he still had a sliver of the Allspark fragment here. And so, this is where the Decepticons find it, thanks to Soundwave here, and they go ahead and, well, use it to resurrect Megatron here. Except Barricade is along with him here. And so, when the Allspark fragment is, just used to revive Megatron, we then also see it revive Bone Crusher, Blackout, and Brawl. But then we also see something else here. Grindor. Alright? We definitely see Grindor and Blackout have an interaction, as I definitely think it would be good to see the two brothers interacting here. Or Protoform brothers, whichever one you actually want to call it here. And so, with that being said here, some of the things do have to change here, such as when Sam gets captured here. Still happens the same, just like in the original. However, when he's being interrogated here and saved, it's Optimus, Bumblebee, and Jazz who actually go to save him here. We actually see Jazz shooting at Starscream here, and when Starscream goes to try and intercept Optimus here, Jazz spin kicks him, and then proceeds to dodge a saw swipe from Starscream, and then drop kicks him, or basically kangaroo, or what's the word I'm looking for? Donkey kicks him through the window here, while Optimus pimp slaps, or gun or pistol slaps Megatron, and then shoots him right through the window here. And so, this takes an alternate turn here. Jazz tells Bumblebee, go ahead and get the other Autobots here, while he goes and helps Optimus here. So, this means we have a different version of the forest fight here. And basically, I would say this is how it goes here. So, Optimus is traveling through the forest, while Megatron goes to surprise him, and he tackles him here. However, Jazz, being only a moment later than them here, Jazz pretty much speeds up, transforms, shouts round 2 to Megatron, and pretty much just drop kicks him. That's probably going to be his signature move here. Or I could just have him Falcon Punch him. Does not matter. He tackles Megatron off of Optimus here. And so this gives Megatron a reason to call the Decepticons, because again, Jazz and Optimus are speed abusing him here. And so this is where Starscream and Grindor show up just like in the original here. However, with Jazz here and the sheer fact they know how to work together here, I would definitely say they're actually able to keep the Decepticons off for a large while here, while we see Bumblebee, Smokescreen, Cliff Jumper, Sideswipe, Ratchet, and Ironhide along with the RC triplets racing towards the Autobots and everything here. And so the fight pretty much goes the same here, with Jazz being the one to rip off Starscream's arm and Optimus killing Grindor. However, Optimus still dies, just like in the original.